Democrats have done the same kind of thing. Bill Clinton did the same kind of thing. John Edwards did the exact same thing when he was running for president. So, I mean, there's precedent there, and for some reason they come after Trump. Oh, I wonder why the establishment comes after Trump for that. So this means that, I mean, I think that Can's going to kick down the road, and the sentencing is either going to happen in September or possibly even after that. And, you know, if it happens after the election, I think Donald Trump might turn around and be like, hey, you know, those powers have got to just pardon people.
You reckon he won't be like, fair cop, you got me, I'll go and serve my time? No, not
if it happens in September, I mean, that would be mad, wouldn't it? There's going to be a lot going on at the time. Yeah. I don't think that's likely, is it? Surely it will just... I mean, this is just not going to happen, is it?
Yeah, I've got the feeling this one... I mean, there are other criminal and civil cases against Trump, so he's not out of the woods. But yeah. I think the risk of this, of most things happening before the election have gone. And he's 2 points clear, and apparently he's more than 2 points clear in a lot of the sort of battleground states, the key states. So if they have another debate, there's another debate scheduled for September, and unless like, you know, Biden enters, you know, the world of Cocoon, and, you know, suddenly recovers from being old, I mean, I think it's looking pretty good for Trump.
I think that's fair.
The next debate will have these weird bolts on the side of his neck. What's happened? Don't ask, don't look. Cressida, The Telegraph, and some bad news for all those migrants who've been trying to learn conversational Rwandese.
Brilliant. Sadiq Khan, no, we're not doing that one. What story are we looking for? Give me a number. Thank you.
8.
There it is. I'm good at maths as well. Detained migrants earmarked for Rwanda released as officials prepare to axe scheme. So we don't know where they are, but they're not... well, we do know where they are. They've been released. These are the 200-odd migrants who were detained. So they were coming in to do their stamp the passport check, do all the right things, and they were getting detained at this point. It's understood that immigration tribunal judges freed them after ruling there was not a realistic prospect of their removal to Rwanda within a reasonable timescale. It's not going to happen. And, of course, Rishi's still saying if he gets in, it is going to start happening. There's going to be these regular flights. They're going to start taking off. It's all worthwhile. But don't worry, Starmer's going to bin the whole thing and spend the money on beefing up border security instead, which is an excellent use of money, I think.
Really?
No, absolutely not.
I can't detect sarcasm anymore.
And what's even more bizarre is the people that have been detained are now seeking compensation for their time.
Oh, my God.
So
this is the taxpayers going to have to pay. We need somebody to come in. We need somebody to come in and basically just wipe all these rules, all these horrible rules that were set up for an honest world in like 1940 or something, when people obeyed the law, and, you know, if you're getting people seeking asylum, they'd be from like France or whatever. And now all these human rights lawyers know how to game the system. So now, you know, they can game the system to get anyone to stay. And you've got to understand, I mean, it's mostly men coming across the channel in these small boats. If you're fleeing war, you bring your wife and kids with you. It's when you go to war that you leave your wife and kids at home. You know what I mean?
We've not met the wives. Fair, we don't know, do we?
I mean, like... We've got a whole system, a whole class of lawyers and NGOs and all the rest of it that are set up to basically game the system and get an advantage and get compensation for these people who've entered illegally. And, man, I think a lot of people in Britain are sick of it. And I think, you know, all right, Starmer might win this time round, but I think if this carries on and continues to accelerate, because the rest of Europe is taking a swing to the right, so Britain's going to be the only sort of welcoming place with open arms saying, you know, send us your inflatable people. If that carries on, yeah. By the time, you know, the next election, I think Reform could win like every seat in the country.
Wow. Leo, The Telegraph, good news if you have an electric vehicle in London. Sadiq Khan will help you get charged. Charged.
Yeah, by taking money off you.
There it is.
So Sadiq Khan is going to impose a congestion charge on electric vehicles, even though they don't have any emissions, certainly not local emissions. The whole point of the congestion charge is to stop congestion and stop the pollution that comes from diesel cars and petrol cars. So it's almost as if Sadiq Khan just wants the money. So the move, which will extend the £15 a day tax on motoring to battery-powered electric vehicles from Christmas Day 2025 was widely condemned on Tuesday. So Mark Harper, the Transport Secretary, said taxing cars, even if they're zero emission, shows Labour's plan to use motorists as cash cows. If they get into government, there will be worse to come, with pay-by-the-mile taxes and fuel duty hikes to help close their £2,000 tax black hole. I think there's a bit more than £2,000 tax black hole. But
I'll pay that for them. Is that all it is?
Maybe they mean per car.
I'll put it on the credit card, if that's all it is.
But I mean, what I've got to say to Mark Harper is don't give them ideas. They might not have heard about this pay-by-the-mile idea. I mean, basically, the Labour, when they get in, like all socialist governments, they don't want people to have autonomy. They don't want, under the Stasi in East Germany, if you wanted to buy a car, you had to wait. You had to fill out all these forms and wait for years, and then you got a terrible car because you're living under socialism. But then you also went on a list that said this person's a problem because they want autonomy over where they go. They don't want to just follow the sort of state-ordained bus routes. They want to.
Might you accept it's a slight leap to go from Starmer might be the Prime Minister, and here's what the Stasi's did, and it's definitely he's going to do that. He might not be making a list of troublesome.
Well, you think?
No, but pay per mile is a step in that direction, isn't it?
If it comes in, you can't expect me to go the long way round roundabouts. That's the one I'm thinking. If I'm turning right, I'm going right. Straight in, bosh. It's your thoughts on this, Cressida?
Well, it's almost as if it wasn't actually about air quality, which is really upsetting.
We're at the halfway point now, but still to come. Some bullying, some death threats and discrimination. But that's enough about what we'll be doing in the interval. Get more soon.
Good evening. I'm here with your GB News weather forecast, brought to you by the Met Office. It's not feeling all that much like July at the moment. Yes, there has been some sunshine around today, but temperatures have actually been around or a little bit below average for the time of year, and it is going to turn increasingly cloudy and wet as we go through tonight because of a system that's pushing its way southwards. Yes, there may be some clear skies to start the night in the south, but here it's going to turn very cloudy, and everywhere we are going to see a lot of cloud and then that rain pushing its way in. Some of that rain heavy across some parts of northern England. The cloud, the rain, and for some of us some blustery winds means temperatures are going to stay up, most places holding up in double figures. Bit of a soggy start then for many of us tomorrow morning. There could still be some heavy bursts of rain around, though most of that is going to clear away towards the east quite quickly. And in fact, by the time we get to 7 o'clock in the morning, across some central southern parts of England, there could be some drier, brighter weather around. A bit cloudier further north across other parts of England and Wales. And in fact, across parts of Northern Ireland, western Scotland, we're going to see another band of rain pushing its way in. This rain could be quite persistent, though not especially heavy. A little bit drier first thing across eastern parts of Scotland, perhaps northeast England, but this band affecting western Scotland and Northern Ireland is gradually going to make its way east and southeastwards as we go through the day. So more places over northern England, Wales, southwest England, perhaps turning damp again as we go through the afternoon. Elsewhere, there will be some drier weather around, cloudier towards the east, brighter skies towards the northwest with some showers mixed in, and temperatures still a little bit below average for the time of year, just about getting to the low 20s. On Thursday, there's going to be a bit of a north-south split. In the north, we can expect some blustery winds and some fairly frequent showers. Some of these could be on the heavy side. Further south, though, across many central southern parts of England and Wales, it's actually looking largely dry and lighter winds here too, with plenty of sunshine. By Friday, though, more of us are likely to see some wet and windy weather. Have a great evening. Bye-bye.
This election night, we're putting on a party.
And you are invited.
We'll be here with you.
Following all the twists and turns.
As well as all the live reaction from our election night watch party.
With our GB News lineup.
And as morning breaks, we'll be here with breakfast from 6 a.m.
As it becomes clear who the winners and the losers really are.
Vote 2024.
Thursday, the 4th of July.
Only on GB News.
Britain's election channel.
I'm Christopher Hope. This is GB News, Britain's election channel.
If you want your news to be straight talking...
This is a nightmare for the Conservatives again.
Down to earth.
It's not just Nottingham where this is happening, is it?
And most importantly, honest.
Hard-working, middle-class taxpayers, they'll get the book thrown at them.
Then catch me, Martin Daubney, Monday to Friday, 3 till 6 p.m. on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Welcome back to Headliners. Cressida, to the Telegraph. I see that women's football is catching on. Ronaldo's been getting emotional and crying.
Very good.
But he's good at football.
For a minute there, I thought I was going to be the bad guy in that.
Oh, man.
Oh, thank heavens, I'm not cancelled. Carry on.
Well, I wouldn't know, Leo, because I don't watch or play football. John Terry brands BBC disgrace after poking fun at Cristiano Ronaldo's tears. He's been crying because he missed a goal, which is really sad. Look, there's a lot of pressure. It probably does feel like PMT, right, being in a professional football. Everything seems overwhelming. You can't cope. You feel, I don't know.
You're comparing two things I know nothing about, being good at football and having PMT.
Just trying to reach across the divide and imagine what it's like for poor Cristiano Ronaldo. So he's been mocked by the BBC, which is not very kind, is it? You know, be kind.
Who mocked him?
Well, I think it's the Strap when he they gave him this pun. They called him Mistiano Pinaldo. Bit of fun. And then Gary Lineker has been mocking him on Twitter. I think. I think we've got his tweet. There you go. So that's an old picture of Gary Lineker and the current Cristiano Ronaldo crying, and apparently it's got something to do with Gaza. Does that mean anything?
Cried.
Yes. So anyway, the point is, you know, are men allowed to cry in football matches? Is it appropriate for the BBC to be bullying him?
Men are definitely allowed to cry in football matches because fans cry all the time. If you go through a pub when some game's on and someone loses, and men who don't cry at the birth of their children will sob when their team goes down at the end of the season.
Yeah.
I don't understand football, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, well, I mean, I just think it's funny that the BBC, you know, half the shows are like, oh my God, men have to open up and reveal the feelings and talk about the feelings, and all the which I think is a terrible idea, by the way. That's a Pandora's box you don't want to open. Jesus, no, just bottle that down. You know, do you want like, oh man, just in the 40s, you know, Cary Grant, all that stuff, that worked really well. Keeping all that stuff bottled up, it worked really well. Like, I think part of the problem we've got today is men are encouraged. The whole the suicide rate and everything has just gone up since we've been encouraged to open up and talk about our feelings. I think if we were encouraged to shut up about our feelings, we'd all stop killing ourselves.
The solution would be more online bullying by Gary Lineker then. OK, well, that's bad.
It's a rare win for Gary Lineker.
Let's move on to the Daily Mail, Leo. Upset over a tweet saying that Biden should hurry up and murder Trump. We all saw the debate. Biden can't hurry up.
Yeah. So a BBC radio presenter has sparked anger after saying that US President Joe Biden should have Donald Trump murdered. David Aronovich, who presents Radio 4's Briefing Room show, took to Twitter yesterday saying, if I was Biden, I'd hurry up and have Trump murdered on the basis that he is a threat to America's security. Hashtag SCOTUS, that's the Supreme Court. So critics claimed that Mr. Aronovich had broken the corporation's rules around employee impartiality. I don't know if you have to be impartial about other countries, but David Aronovich stressed the post was satirical, but then deleted it, which is always a sure sign of confidence in your work.
Well, there was a far-right pile on Leo, so he had to.
Yeah, because I didn't pile on him for the initial tweet, but I did pile on him for calling it a far-right pile-on. Because if we were just saying, if like you're so people saying you shouldn't call for the murder of politicians, the murder of presidents, which, to be honest, in America, there's a bit of, you know, it's happened before. There's precedent for it, and it's certainly, you know, fevered times, so it's not out the ordinary. I mean, in his defence, it was sort of satirical. He's just making the point that, you know, this is something that Biden could do if it was in an official capacity. But yeah, I think, you know, for him to say it's far right to find that distasteful, that's an absolute nonsense use of the word far right, as it always is.
Well, yeah, we hear it all the time, don't we? But to go back to the original point, I mean, it was satire. I think he was absolutely right. I don't think he should have deleted it. I think we should all...
satire, though.
Well, whatever. It's not like... It's up to him what he tweets. You know, I was perfectly happy with it. I think everyone should calm down and stop going, oh, my God, you said murder. Panic.
You don't get Twitter at all.
Grown up.
Well, the whole point is getting outraged about stuff that you shouldn't be outraged about.
No, I think we should all calm down. This is like the Kemi Badenoch David Tennant thing the other day when she started talking about optics. And it was like, oh, Kemi, you're getting near their kind of language, you know.
Yeah. I mean, this is David Aronovich mentioning the murder of someone who said he could go onto Fifth Avenue and shoot someone. So you could trace this back to like him maybe not starting it, and it was a joke based on one of the dissenters from the Supreme Court. Sotomayor said that this could be used to cover the idea of assassinating. It won't be. Surely, to goodness, that's not considered a core.
Yeah.
I was doing it as president.
just a function of the government.
Yeah.
Actually, it is. So, you know, maybe if they just open the black books.
And if you're the one picking up the phone getting, like, Steam Teal 6 to go, and you're doing that as president, you can't just go, just a normal guy saying, is SEAL Team 6 available? So it would be a presidential act, but it'd be an illegal one, surely.
Yeah. What I'm more concerned about is people on the left in America, like Nancy Pelosi, AOC. They've said the Supreme Court is so wrong that it should be overhauled or banished or overthrown, and that is fascism. I'm not being hyperbolic when I'm saying fascism. It literally is the control and the overthrow of courts and the judiciary is fascism.
So you think calling the courts the enemy of the people is a bad move? Well, interesting. Cressida, The Telegraph, this story, and I think I've got this right, is saying that being able to read is good and not being able to read is bad. Fascinating. Explain more.
You've nailed it, Steve. Reading is invisible privilege, says new children's laureate. So this is Frank Cottrell Boyce, the new children's laureate, and he's telling you that studies show that children who've not been read to when they were young face massive barriers as they go through life. Shock. But it's a fair point, isn't it? And he's talking about having access to books. Having access to books for young children offers the keys to the kingdom. I would argue having access to parental attention is the keys to the kingdom. I mean, I'm not a parent, but tell me if I'm wrong, isn't it the most boring, painful thing on earth to listen to a tiny child read?
Not when it's your own kid.
Oh, really?
Well, you'd be surprised the behaviour in other kids that's really annoying is actually really charming when it's your own kid.
Oh, well, then the system works. That's great.
Yeah.
Reading's free. You know, often they're like, oh, these poor kids have been held back. It's like, man, what, you can't find something to read? Like, go through the bins. There's loads of stuff right on it. Are you nuts? Like, what, you don't have a tablet that you can access, access books? There's so many lending libraries and all this sort of stuff. What the real problem is, and what they're almost saying is working class people bring it on themselves, is what I got from this article, which I think is wrong. My dad's a gunsmith, we grew up, we listened to Radio 4 and we read books and stuff, and I think it didn't work for me, obviously, but I think, it's wrong to say that it's a money thing, it's a poverty thing, because, you can be poor and you can get access to books.
Yeah. Leo, the Daily Mail, a tractor company is worrying less about including women and LGBT people. Well, that's a letdown for Neil Parish.
So, a major nationwide retailer backtracks on DEI, that's diversity, equity and inclusion, as it slashes funding for Pride events after customer disappointment from its conservative customer base. I don't know if they took some of their customers to the Pride parade and they're like, this harness is chafing. It's supposed to be on a Clydesdale horse. But basically, diversity, equity and inclusion is anti-white. It's saying, none of the hiring should go to white people. We should just hire people from, got off the boat from Somalia or whatever. Everybody should be transitioned. Pride is this great thing. And, all those things are really quite controversial now. Some people say meritocracy is the best because then you get the best people for the company. And some people say that, racism is bad even when it's against white people who are, this season's, allowable people to be racist against. And also, Pride is controversial because it's basically become a parade of straight fetishes and trans people and is excluding lesbian, gay and bisexual people. And the whole trans thing is controversial because, should we really be drugging, maiming and sterilising kids? I mean, some people say no. I don't know what they're smoking. But companies still do it because they're told that they have to do it. There's all these regulations, and they get access to special funds, ESG funds, if they do it. But yeah, I mean, for a tractor company to do it,
That's the kicker, is it? Right, look at your base market.
Well, they're the right people to start the revolution with not doing it, aren't they? Them and Elon Musk and whoever else is starting to breach this stuff and say, no, we're not doing it. We're gonna go back to what's the new thing? It's not DEI. It's like MEI.
Yeah.
Meritocracy, excellence and something. I don't know, I can't remember. But it's about being the best again. We're going to go back to that. It's the new fashion.
Yeah, now the planes have started falling out of the sky.
Yeah,
We've decided, actually, you know what? Maybe we should have people who know what they're doing.
It's either diversity or being the best. Either way, I ain't getting a job. Cressida, the Telegraph, saying gay people are sinners isn't as popular as it used to be.
Social worker denied job over views, accuses judge of setting dangerous precedent for Christians. And he might have a point. So this is Felix Ngole, who vows to appeal the ruling that he was not discriminated against when he was refused a job over LGBT beliefs. So he's a Christian, and he made it known on his social media that he thinks that being gay is a sin. And the problem is he was offered this job as a social worker, and then they went and checked his social media. Like, come on, we're not looking for a reform candidate. This is a social worker. Check him out first, and we wouldn't have this problem. So I think the moral of the story is don't offer jobs to people if you don't know who they are. But he does make a serious point. You know, surely having a religious belief is protected as well, right? So this is the kind of battle of, well, who matters more? And in this case, so far, the LGBTQI+ people have won, because the people hiring him are saying it's too dangerous for us to have you around people who might be a bit vulnerable and are gay. But what happens if you're vulnerable and you need a social worker and you're a Christian? That doesn't get answered in here. I mean, surely they need a bit of everything.
But then hopefully a sort of like a gay social worker would still be OK with you and wouldn't be like, oh, I think Christians are going to hell.
Well, yes, unless on their social media they said
being a Christian is a sin.
Yeah, exactly.
No, not a common tattoo. Be interesting. Right, we better crack on. Just the final section to go with Big Brother, revealing models and OnlyFans. My usual pre-bed lineup. See you shortly.
GB News Breakfast. Every day from 6 a.m.
Question is...
Should our museums stay free for everyone and anyone, or should we be charging our tourists?
So many of the artefacts are from around the world, stolen actually. I think it's almost to add insult to injury to ask people to pay to see the artefacts that were taken without their permission. One of the things that the museum set itself up for is a kind of World Heritage where you can see the stuff they took from your country free of charge. Because the British state's willing to do that, is one of the reasons why we hold on to many of the artefacts from around the world instead of giving them back.
I mean, that's a noble argument, Wayman, but none of the other countries in the world that also contain artefacts from all over the world indulge in that, do they? We still have to pay to see anything that's come from the UK that might be overseas?
No, but the absolute truth is that we've stolen a lot more over many more years than anybody else, because we're a very, very... we had a very, very big empire, and during that time, taking things from other countries without their permission.
And I think our wonderful country, the United Kingdom, is the cradle of modern civilization, not of the ancient world, but of the modern world. You know, for centuries, we've contributed things to the world, which has spread out around the world, and the influence that we've put upon countries around the globe has been massively significant. I think it's a privilege for people to be able to come to this country and track the history of our country through our museums. I can't understand why they've ever been free. The upkeep of museums runs into hundreds of millions of pounds a year. Somebody's got to maintain them and keep them good. Somebody's got to go around the world and collect the artifacts which are in our museums. And I've always have the adage in life, if something is free, it's probably not worth having.
The People's Channel.
I'm Christopher Hope. From pop stars to politicians, I'll interview anybody in a pub who's got a political opinion. Join me every Friday on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube or gbnews.com, or wherever you get your podcasts.
GB News, Britain's election channel. If you want your news to be straight talking...
This is a nightmare for the Conservatives again.
Down to earth.
It's not just Nottingham where this is happening, is it?
And most importantly, honest.
Hard-working, middle-class taxpayers, they'll get their book thrown at them.
Then catch me, Martin Daubney, Monday to Friday, 3 till 6 p.m. on GB News, Britain's news channel.
In the GB newsroom, we bring you the news as it happens.
With our team of dedicated journalists across the UK,
GB News brings you accurate reporting of the day's topical agenda.
When the news breaks, wherever and whenever it's happening,
we'll be there.
This is GB News.
The People's Channel,
Britain's news channel.
Welcome back to Headliners. Leo, The Times. Would you be willing to marry two women? I think I'd be willing to spread the Steve magic. You're right, that is bigamy.
Very nice.
Two groaners in a night. Normally, I only let myself have one.
Two groaners in a night, that's what this felt like. Two wives. Outrage in India as Big Brother embraces bigamy on primetime TV. So bigamy is when you have more than one wife. So this is Arman Malik, who's known as a social media personality, flanked by his two smiling wives, Payal and Kritika, wearing identical outfits, makeup and jewellery. That's some skills. If you don't just have like multiple wives, but you get them to dress the same.
For me, that's the painful bit of this whole story. I think that's just embarrassing.
Yeah, it's like the twins from The Shining. It's terrifying. So what's interesting here is that, it's on a TV show. It's on one of the biggest TV shows in India, but also it tends to be a Muslim thing in India. And these are Hindu. He's a Hindu, and apparently it's sort of shining a light on the fact that it does actually happen. Only like 2% of Hindus do it. It's usually a Hin don't. But yeah, they.
I feel better about mine now.
So yeah, there are some that do it.
Yeah, Cressida, would you be willing to have that? I'm
one of the wives.
Yeah.
No, but I don't know. Division of labour, isn't it, for them? I think historically that's why women have done it. No, it's sad. They were pretending it's fine at the beginning, and then one of the wives gets kicked out of the house, and then she confesses that it upset her when it happened, and he had an affair with the second one, and then he married her. It's all very sad, but excellent television.
Yeah, doesn't make it right. Cressida, to the Mirror, and a model looks like she had some old chaps near her bottom.
Model divides fans as she parades around in jeans with crude cut-out design. These aren't something... I've never seen these in real life, although once I saw them, I thought, how has this never happened before? So Sydney Wynn, great name, who models for the fashion brand company, left fans in stitches after she was seen donning a pair of £125 she paid for these jeans, and there's some of them missing. I think we've got a photo of... Look,
wow.
I mean... Crumbs.
And that's why they look a bit like chaps. I feel like I need to explain that thing earlier on, because if you didn't get the second meaning, it just comes across as rude. Wow, that
Gentlemen, I mean, what do we think?
It looks like she's already been attacked by a werewolf.
It looks like an alien. For anybody on the radio, it's like there's holes in the bum part of the jean.
Do you know, we had the chest cleavage. That's like the classic cleavage. And then we got those shoulder ones. Remember the cold shoulder things? And now it's like the third type of cleavage. And I really think the original was the best.
No, the third type of cleavage is what a plumber will present to you.
You're quite right, Steve. I'm sorry, I missed one out.
But I like how this is obviously like a press release that's been sent to the newspaper, have then reprinted it because it hasn't gone viral. So they say in the caption on the clip, which gained more than 700 views. That's not...
Literally this video. Wow. Leo, to the Metro, Lily Allen is selling feet pics online, but on the other hand, not making songs. So,
So Lily Allen launches OnlyFans account dedicated to her feet for just £8 a month. So she's uploading pictures of her feet for £8 a month. This account is reportedly named the Lily Allen FTSE 500. Little pun on the stock market there. And as of last week, had 6 exclusive pictures of her feet. However, any trace of it appears to have disappeared from Lily's social media. So maybe she tried it out. People looked at her feet and said, "No, I don't really like your feet very much."
Although no, she had good feet.
Well, yeah, somebody said she's got. There's a website called WikiFeet that rates feet. So I can hear people logging on right now. And apparently she's got like 5 stars out of 5, I assume, on WikiFeet. And also she had sex with female prostitutes. She said in her podcast, desperate to garner some attention.
She does mention that at the end. She throws it in and says, well, if I didn't say, somebody else would out me. It's like, would they have done? I don't know. We'll never know. She did it herself.
But if a man does it, or if Donald Trump does it, all of a sudden he's a bad guy.
All right, Cressida, the Daily Star. Someone spotted a UFO driving, but I mean, the F stands for flying, so we can't use that. And we know what it is now. So someone spotted an O.
UFO stopped for speeding on motorway as cops claim driver was from Krypton. I don't think he really was. This is...
Don't commit too much to that point of view.
This is a guy who's created his own sort of, like, he's like a... Oh, there you go, picture of it. Like, what's a kit car? Is that a thing? I guess he's taken a car and he's added lots of bodywork. I mean, I remember when I was a kid, the boys used to lower their Vauxhall Novas. It's a very similar sort of thing. And now he's been stopped for speeding.
Brilliant.
A bit of fun.
A bit of fun indeed. Anything to add on that?
I mean, I love it, and it's the sort of thing you only get in America because people have because they've got this hyper-capitalist society. People have the wealth to do fun things instead of just driving around in a tiny little horrible toy town car like you get in the UK.
See, earlier in the show, you made the idea of having money to spare seem good, but now people will spend it on stupid cars like that, which, are they road legal? Is it OK to do that?
Well, it was until he went speeding.
Imagine having laws over what you can drive on the road. The guy's built a flying saucer. Is the guy's going to take us to Mars? And you're like, oh, but what about council bylaws?
He's not going to take us to Mars because you can't even get off the flat road.
This one.
You need to be able to fly.
The next one's going to have wings.
That's how it goes. Right, well, the show is nearly over. Let's take another quick look at Wednesday's front pages. The Daily Mail says Boris and Rishi unite to stop Starmageddon. The Metro, unis spying on students for police. The Guardian says backlash over anti-Semitic Tory attack on Starmer. The Eye says prison crisis for new government on day one with cells full and one-in, one-out plan. Financial Times, water groups face lawsuits after ruling on sewage release. And The Star, Kim Wilde, I'm backing bin face. Those are your front pages. That's all we've got time for. Thank you to my guests, Leo Kirst and Cressida Wetton. We're back tomorrow. Simon Evans will be joined by Count Dankula and Lewis Schaefer will be here as well. If you are watching at 5 a.m, get yourself sat down, maybe with some breakfast, because breakfast's on the way, the show, and indeed the food. And until next time, have yourself a good one.
A brighter outlook with Box Solar, sponsors of weather on GB News.
Good evening. I'm here with your GB News weather forecast, brought to you by the Met Office. It's not feeling all that much like July at the moment. Yes, there has been some sunshine around today, but temperatures have actually been around or a little bit below average for the time of year, and it is going to turn increasingly cloudy and wet as we go through tonight because of a system that's pushing its way southwards. Yes, there may be some clear skies to start the night in the south, but here it's going to turn very cloudy, and everywhere we are going to see a lot of cloud and then that rain pushing its way in, some of that rain heavy across some parts of northern England. The cloud, the rain, and for some of us some blustery winds means temperatures are going to stay up, most places holding up in double figures. Bit of a soggy start then for many of us tomorrow morning. There could still be some heavy bursts of rain around, though most of that is going to clear away towards the east quite quickly. And in fact, by the time we get to 7 o'clock in the morning, across some central southern parts of England, there could be some drier, brighter weather around. A bit cloudier further north across other parts of England and Wales. And in fact, across parts of Northern Ireland, western Scotland, we're going to see another band of rain pushing its way in. This rain could be quite persistent, though not especially heavy. A little bit drier first thing across eastern parts of Scotland, perhaps northeast England, but this band affecting western Scotland and Northern Ireland is gradually going to make its way east and southeastwards as we go through the day. So more places over northern England, Wales, southwest England, perhaps turning damp again as we go through the afternoon. Elsewhere, there will be some drier weather around, cloudier towards the east, brighter skies towards the northwest with some showers mixed in, and temperatures still a little bit below average for the time of year, just about getting to the low 20s. On Thursday, there's going to be a bit of a north-south split. In the north, we can expect some blustery winds and some fairly frequent showers. Some of these could be on the heavy side. Further south, though, across many central southern parts of England and Wales, it's actually looking largely dry and lighter winds here too, with plenty of sunshine. By Friday, though, more of us are likely to see some wet and windy weather. Have a great evening. Bye-bye.
That warm feeling inside from Boxed Boilers, sponsors of weather on GB News.
£30,000 in tax-free cash really could be yours. It's our biggest cash prize of the year so far, and you could be getting that winning call from us to tell you that you're our next Great British Giveaway winner.
You're joking. Really? Seriously, it's not a line, what is it?
Oh, flipping heck. Oh, dear.
Oh, my God. This is amazing.
I'm in shock. Like I said, I've never won anything like this. That is absolutely fantastic.
Over the moon. Thank you.
For a chance to win £30,000 in tax-free cash, text cash to 63232. Text costs £2 plus one standard network rate message. You can enter online at gbnews.com/win. Entries cost £2. Or post your name and number to GB07 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 5 p.m. on the 30th of August. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
GB News is Britain's election channel.
And when the big stories break, we're tackling them on Britain's newsroom. When we disagree, and we disagree a lot, it's even livelier than normal.
We don't disagree that much.
We do. His comedy, though, is revolting. I knew her, and unlike you. That explains Beverly Turner's temperament.
It's a bit frothy in here, isn't it?
He'll have one of me one day.
For dartball practice. Britain's Newsroom on GB News. Weekdays, 9:30 a.m.
GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Congratulations to the GB News winners at this year's Trick Awards.
And the winner of Interview of the Year is... Alistair Stewart reveals his heartbreaking diagnosis to Camilla Tominey.
And the winner is GB News Breakfast. And the winner is Nigel Farage.